I'm like a sweaty mess, as you could see. I just came in from a power walk around the neighborhood. And I could have been a normal human being and showered first. I don't know. But I'm also somebody that, like, when I have something to say or share, it's like, oh, I'll just push live. And just realizing now how much of a sweaty, disgusting mess I am. But anyway, I'm Bree. Hi. Welcome to my channel, Just Breezy. So I have not been on YouTube for about a month and a half. And I've been getting a lot of comments from people, a couple emails about older videos where I talk about being on Effexor or Venlafaxine. I always have a hard time with that, for anxiety and depression. And I'm like, okay, I haven't made a video in a while. Let me just come on live. And while I was doing my walk, I was sort of thinking about all the questions that have recently come up. My dog Walter's walking around the phone stand, so I apologize if he knocks into it. All right, you're good? Okay, good. So I have been on Effexor for about 6 months, give or take. I can't say that it's 6 months on the dot, but about that. And a lot of people have been asking me questions about side effects and talking about their own fears because, you know, it's no surprise that since 2020, the amount of people that are now on antidepressants or things for anxiety has gone up. No big shock there, right? I mean, at one point or another, we've all been super anxious or depressed living through this. And some of us have sort of experienced those mental health struggles since before 2020. But recently, I've been getting a lot of people asking me about weight gain. And am I afraid, or do I plan on ever coming off of it? Okay, so let's start off with like the whole 6 month thing. So I've been on it for 6 months. My dosage, because I know a lot of people ask that too, is still 37.5. I think, and I've said this in the past, I'm going to talk to my doctor about adjusting that a little bit for different reasons, just because I've been struggling a little bit, I will say. I still think it's the right medication for me. I know that if I wasn't taking it, that things that are going on in my life right now would probably have just like, woof, just pushed me over into a real deep swamp of feeling despair and heaviness. And I don't experience that, which is so good, you know? But you know, if you're watching this and you have struggled for years with depression or anxiety, you know when things need a little tweaking, right? Not because you want to be a robot void of feeling and emotion. I want to feel sadness. I want to still feel some nerves about things. And it's not about erasing that, but you know when sort of that balance of where you should be is a little off kilter. And that's sort of where I've been living right now, is in that like off kilter place. But again, it's been good for me. So the main question that I have gotten recently, and I was thinking about this on my walk, a lot of women have been asking me about weight gain because a side effect, a recorded side effect of using certain medications is weight gain. And I wondered if, and I'm just making connections that may not exist, but I wonder if it's because spring and summer are upon us. And some people, as I am, as many people, you know, you have sort of like body image concerns, right? I mean, we're human. So a lot of people have been asking me about the weight gain part of taking Effexor or Venlafaxine. For me, okay, and I always stress this, I'm not a professional. I'm talking from my own personal experience, okay? For me, any weight gain that I've experienced is based solely off of the poor choices I make of food. Truly, that's all it is. I am somebody, and people will hate me for saying this or not, but it's me being truthful. My entire life, I have been on the thinner side for no other reasons than genetics. That's just how sort of my family is built. We've always been sort of a smaller folk. But if I, you know, fluctuate a little bit, it's truly based on food choices. I have not experienced the side effect of This man says, embrace the belly. Hi, Dave. Embrace the belly. I've not experienced the side effect of antidepressants where I have weight gain. Doesn't mean that you won't. Doesn't mean that it's not a concern. Okay. And I tread lightly on this. And when I was doing my walk just before doing this, I was really thinking about this because I want to be sensitive to people who truly look at that as a concern, right? For whatever your reasons are. Now, if you're somebody, oh, hi, gymnastics fun. Just started 4 days ago, switched over from CIR. From CIR. I don't know what that is. Can you tell me what that is? And you just started Effexor 4 days ago? Is that what you just started? And if so, tell me how you're doing. Are you noticing anything different? I know sometimes it takes a little while. Oh, okay, no worries. Okay, so you just made that switch and you're noticing a good change, hopefully. But I know some people it takes a little while. But like I was saying, for me, it has really been, you're tired. Yeah, you know what? When I started Lexapro, okay, so that was my first medication that I was on was Lexapro. And I remember the first few days feeling tired. It was nothing like I couldn't function in life, but tired. Yeah, but tired. When I started Effexor, I just did a transition from Lexapro to Effexor because I really needed to address depression also. And Lexapro was great for my anxiety, but I needed something that was going to do both. So that's why the doctor had switched me over. And I didn't feel the tiredness, but I know some people do. So I always say to people when it comes to side effects, a good thing that I've sort of learned for myself is to write things down, because sometimes if you don't write things down, right, maybe you'll be tired for 2 to 4 days, but you don't write it down. So then when you check in with your doctor a little while later, all you're remembering is the tiredness. But if you write it down, you're like, oh, you know what? It was only a couple of days of this. And then I started to feel this, But I always encourage people that I talk to write things down. It does not have to be a huge paragraph. You're not writing the story of your life unless you decide to. Write the date. Write something good or bad that you're feeling because you want to follow through with your doctor, right? Even if you're not going to make a change, you want to have that appointment to say, okay, 2 weeks in, this is how I'm feeling or not. I like this, I don't like that. And you want to have that in front of you because if not, you're based solely on memory, and our memory screws us up. Really does. You're also on Wellbutrin and Zopiclone. I'm terrible at reading words that I've never seen before. Oh no, it disappeared. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. While weaning off this, also a combo of meds for 30 years. Okay. All right. So you've been there. You're so right. Oh, good. I'm glad you agree. Yeah, I've been, is it 2 years now? Maybe 2 years, maybe not that long, doing the Lexapro and then switching over. But yes, write the writing of things down because our memory definitely likes to play tricks on us. We remember the bad things as if they've happened 10 times more than they did. And sometimes the bad things overshadow the good things. So I always say write things down 100% and have that communication with your doctor. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is that weight gain concern. Okay, so, and I say this again with all sensitivity to people who have the medication at home and haven't started it yet because you're afraid of the weight gain, okay? And you may agree with this or not. If you're at a point in your life where you are struggling so much with your mental health that you have medication that's been prescribed to you for anxiety or depression, I want you to focus on what the priority of your health should be right now. Not to say that weight gain isn't a health concern, right? And I know some people might say, oh, easy for you because you didn't gain the weight from the medication. You just gained the weight from eating too many bagels and gained the weight. Again, I'm very well aware that I am at a good weight for myself. But I want you to think about the priorities of your health, okay? Do you want to go through life thin, in a terrible mental health state, but I'm thin, or do you want to take a medication, and I'm not forcing anybody, your hand, or do you want to take a medication that could get you right in the head and might make you gain a few pounds, right? So I just want you to sort of like think about that, because I know weight gain is a huge concern for people. Either somebody who's thin and has been thin their whole life doesn't want to gain the weight. Walter, there's nothing on that floor for you to be digging for. Good boy. My dog just starts doing this. Or maybe you're somebody who already struggles with your weight and you're just like, damn, I don't want to add another thing to that that's going to make me blow up, okay? I can say I get it as much as I can without being you and without being in that situation. But I want you to try to take a step back from that and say, but I'm in a place where I'm really anxious. I am really depressed. I'm not enjoying life the way I should. I don't like the person I am right now, right? A lot of us go through that when we're anxious and depressed. We don't like who we've become or where we're in, or that state we're in. And I want you to think about what's more important. You've had an eating disorder in your 20s, hence the Wellbutrin. Okay, so I mean, you're somebody, right, who could probably really connect with that relationship of weight gain and food and the things that trigger it. I can't speak from that perspective because I haven't struggled with an eating disorder. So I can't speak to that. What I can speak to is being at a point in my life, and I know that you can make different connections based on your experience too, right? Where you have to get to a point, especially if you spoke to somebody and now you've been prescribed something, you have to get to a point where you're saying, why was I prescribed something? Why did I go to my doctor in the first place? Where am I? You're absolutely right. Thank you. Where am I right now in life? And what's the priority? What's the priority? Okay, because I can't tell you how many people recently have gotten in touch with me to say they have the medication at home and they haven't taken it yet. They're not taking it. And a lot of people are using the word fear. And dear Lord, I know about that word fear. Fear is crippling. It really is. And when you just say, I'm afraid, it is so much bigger than what we can wrap our arms around and our thoughts around. So this is my advice about fear, okay? And I speak from my own experience. When you say you're afraid of your medication, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And again, get out your pen and write it down. I'm serious. Take a minute and write it down. When I said I was afraid of medication and I'm afraid. Well, since we're little kids, right? Fear is crippling. The monsters under the bed, the dark closet, the this or that. What are you afraid of? And I wrote it down. I was afraid of addiction. Okay. I was afraid of being a zombie mommy, not being myself. I was afraid that it was going to, which kind of goes with zombie mommy, change who I was. Okay. In those fears, I didn't fear certain side effects. That wasn't my fear. My fear was being addicted, changing who I was in a bad way, and being a zombie mommy, right? Just kind of being like, whoosh, like not really being present. And when I saw what my fears were, then one by one, I had those fears answered, because I also believe that fear is an unanswered question. It's a big ass question mark hitting you in the face and you don't even realize it. It's because you don't have the information to answer the question. Right? I'm afraid of addiction because the question is, am I going to become addicted to the medication I'm on? I'm afraid of it because I don't have the answer. So what do? I'd say to my doctor, this is my fear. I need all the info. Tell me all the info. And the first medication, along with not Zoloft, was it Zoloft? With the Lexapro, maybe it was Zoloft, she had prescribed something for me to take at night. And she had said, okay, this prescription for nighttime has an addictive quality. So for me, right, so now I got that information. I got that question answered, and I said, this is not a medication that I will be taking then. Addiction runs in my family. I do not want to even tempt that. I am not going to take that. She said, fine, good, off the list. I find out my Lexapro isn't going to trigger those addictive qualities in me. Okay, I'm no longer afraid of that. Okay, now I asked her about being a zombie, right? Changing me, this, that, and the other. And I had these questions and I looked up the YouTube, people and found out what they experienced, and it answered my questions and it took away the fear. So then I was educated and I wasn't fearful, and I said, okay, I'm at a point in my life. This is going to help me, right? Or it should, because all the other things really weren't. And I was able to take it without the fear. So that's what I really want to sort of put out there for people. If your fear is, right, I'm afraid, I have it, I'm afraid, now I write my fear down, I'm afraid I'm gonna gain weight. Okay, I want you to call your doctor and say, or look it up on reputable sites, what are the percentages of this? And when they talk about weight gain, are we talking about another person? Am I going to add another 100? What's the weight gain? Right? Okay, so if so, now I know what to look out for. I'm going to look out for it. I'm not going to obsess over it. That's another really hard thing, I know, but I'm not going to obsess over it. I'm going to look out for it. And if it starts to become a concern, I'm going to talk to my doctor again. And I'm going to see, okay, I don't know if this is the right one. What can we tweak? Is your fear addiction? Write it down. Get the questions answered. Somebody was talking to me about, do I think I'll ever stop taking it, because they were reading about the withdrawal process and the withdrawal symptoms of it, and it's really frightening them. I get it. I kind of lived in that space too of, your psychiatrist has you writing things down these days. You're good, my dear. Oh, thank you. You know what? I speak, like I said, from my own experience of it. Because I knew when I started taking medication, if I didn't write things down, I wasn't going to remember crap. And I was only going to remember the bad things. And I needed to remind myself, you know what? Second morning, third morning, I woke up, and instead of being at a 10 and yelling at my kids, I'm at like a 6, and I can manage the craziness a little bit better because my anxiety wasn't like, and I wrote it down. Because I also wanted to give myself credit for, look at this, look at the positive stuff going on, right? Guys, our emotions, they, dear Lord, can totally take control of our entire life and our decision making and our happiness and our health and well-being. I'll share to a certain point. Over the past, I would say, year, but really over the past couple of months, I have been going through something with someone in my life, and I'm not trying to be like, secretive, but it's not fully my story to tell, so I can't, which kind of kills me because I'm very much an open book. But really trying to help somebody in my life with something that has had a hold on them for basically their entire life when we talk about addiction. And it has really, sort of taken over a lot of my mindset and my emotional well-being. And I don't say that if this person watches this. I don't say that to make you feel guilty in any way, because I love being that person in your life. What I'm saying, though, is that when we go through things in our lives, we really have to be sure to check in with ourselves. And I haven't done that. I haven't done that lately, to check in with myself to say, how much of my cup, right, when we talk about like you can't function on an empty cup, how much of my cup am I just like ladling out to this situation, to other situations, without replenishing a damn cup? And then you walk around and you're like, why do I feel so bleh? Because you're not focusing in on your own shit. And you're worried about everybody else, and that's okay to be worried about everybody else. It's okay to be that person that helps people, because I love that. I love being that person for people. But when you then don't worry about yourself, and you don't say, okay, I haven't been doing my walks, I haven't been doing my YouTube videos that bring me so much joy and that I'm passionate about and that fill my creativity part of my cup, I haven't been doing any of that. What have I been doing that's really been making me feel joy, other than being a mom, being a daughter, being a wife, being all the things for people that brings me joy? But what have I been doing that's mine? That's mine, that I create and I put out there, and I haven't been. And it's sort of been like sucking out that joy part of my little cup, And that all comes back to your mental health. Right? Like if you have something that brings you joy in your life and you're not doing it anymore because you're feeling depressed, because you're feeling anxious, because you're tied up in everybody else's situations, you have to come to a point where you like literally look in the mirror, or you sit down, or you write and you say, where am I right now in life? Because I'm not feeling all that good. And that's where I've sort of been in the past 2 months. I haven't been feeling all that good. And I could say, oh, let me just tweak my medicine, which I know I have to do anyway, but I also have to take responsibility for it and say, well, why not? What's changed? Oh, you're focusing on all the other stuff without giving any time to yourself. And sometimes I think we feel selfish when we put ourselves priority, when we say, wait a minute, my mental health is slipping, the way I'm eating is crap. I'm not moving my body and I feel really empty inside, but I'm doing everything else for everybody else. I'm there for everybody. So that's good. But then at the end of the day, you're just like, ugh, so it all comes back. It all comes back to that first thing I said. It's like, what's your priority? Okay, you have to think about that. What is your priority? If you're sitting at home with medication that you're not taking, why aren't you taking it? What are your fears? Write it down, get the answers that you need. If you're at a point in your life where you have medication, there's a reason for that, right? Medication isn't given to people whose mental health is in check. Just isn't. I don't have Effexor and Lexapro because my mental health is in check. No, I got it because it wasn't. And now if I don't follow through with that, right, and I don't do all the other things, then I'm putting myself all the way down at the bottom of that list, and I'm putting everybody else's crap above mine, and that's not okay. That's just not okay. So for me, 6 months of Effexor, that's my title of this, 6 months of Effexor. It is the right medication for me. I do have to take responsibility over my life, though, to realize that medication doesn't fix everything, that you still need to prioritize your stuff. And I have to check in with my doctor to say, even though it's right for me and I'm doing well, I know my balance. I know where I should be with this, and that needs some tweaking, and that's okay. It's okay. So I'm going to wrap up and just say, those of you who are writing me about having fears, continue to write. Continue to talk to me about it. Continue to talk to people in your life about it. And it's okay to be fearful. But don't just use the word fear. Figure out exactly what your fear is and then freaking crush it. Seriously, crush it. Get your answers. Never stop posting your positive, soothing energy. Thank you. Thanks. That means a lot to me. I try to be. I really do. I try to be because honestly, I always say it's like free therapy. It really is. It helps me a lot when I talk about stuff. And I know it helps other people too, which is just awesome. It's so awesome to know that. So thank you. But I hope you guys have a great day. It's Friday. I don't know when you'll see this, but it's Friday. So I hope you have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend and all that good stuff. I love y'all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.